Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 165. And today's date is September 17th, 2013. And the title of this episode is "The Government is Using a Serious Crisis to Pass the Gun Bills." And we're seeing from all the reports that they are moving to push these gun bills through the Senate. We understand that they've been pending there, waiting for some type of crisis event to get these gun bills through. One is the UN Arms Treaty, and one is the Feinstein bill, which has just been sitting there in the Senate waiting for something special to happen. And now we see Obama, we see other senators, we see Dianne Feinstein, all out there telling everyone, see, here we are, we're in Washington, D.C., one of the safest places, and look, people still can get guns and come in and shoot people. We need to have mental illness checks. We need to look at their medical records. We need to do all the things that we said we needed to do before, and it's all wrapped up in this perfectly packaged crisis. And that's what we're seeing right now. But we're going to discuss this a little bit later in the report, and we're going to get into the economic collapse information right now. And right now what we're seeing over in Europe, that European car sales in 2013 dropped to a record 23-year low. For the first 8 months of this year, passenger car sales in the European Union were off 5.2%, 7.84 million compared with the same period last year. And when measuring new car registration, which in August fell from 5% from a year ago to 653,000, we're also seeing in Germany saw a 5.5% drop. We're seeing 10.5% drop in France, and 18.3% in Spain, and 6.6% in Italy. So what we're seeing is a decline in car registration. We're seeing a decline in sales, and we're seeing this across Europe right now. And this shows you that what the government officials are saying, and the propaganda that they're using, that everything is turning around and getting better, and the real estate market's getting better, retail sales are getting better. It all looks, perfectly great. They're doing this to set everybody up for this huge, huge event that is coming, and they're going to use this event to say we were on the verge of recovery, and now look what happened. It's collapsing all the markets. And we see that this is definitely being played and definitely being used to paint this picture that everything is getting better. Now, even in the UK, we're seeing that first-time home buyers are opting for a longer mortgage. Traditionally they were taking out 25-year mortgages, and now they're taking mortgages out 30 to 40 years because it's getting harder and harder to afford the payments of the homes, especially with rates going up, especially with salaries either going down or staying static, and the prices of everything still going up. And this is definitely, we're seeing a sign out there that things are not going well. And this goes on to say that hard-pressed first-time buyers are abandoning traditional 25-year mortgages and opting for much longer repayment terms, some as long as 40 years, so they can afford bigger loans in the latest indicator of Britain's emerging property bubble. And we're seeing a housing bubble there, and we're seeing a housing bubble in the U.S., and this is all tied in together. I mean, right now, Europe is in a recession/depression. So is the U.S. You just cannot see it because it's masked and it's manipulated. So you only look at the stock market and you don't look at the real economy, because all the numbers for the economy have been manipulated. Inflation, GDP, unemployment, all calculations have been changed. And we're seeing here in the U.S. that future single-family home sales expectations dropped notably, and this is the first time since April that the index has not risen. And we understand in the U.S. that mortgage rates are going up, mortgage apps are plunging. We understand that new home builders are seeing less and less traffic. Home furnishing and garden sales stores are seeing a decline in sales. And we are seeing this all over the place. And one of the huge, huge indicators that housing is not doing well is major mortgage companies are laying off thousands of people. Bank of America was like 2,100 people. Citibank like 2,200 people. Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan, they are all laying off thousands of people in their mortgage departments. And the reason for this is because there has been a huge, huge slowdown of mortgage applications. And they know that this is coming to an end. And why keep these people around if you don't have the mortgages to support what they do? And they realize this. The only people that don't realize this are all the people who are still purchasing homes trying to flip them. And we know what happened in 2007 and 2008 when everyone was buying at the height of the market. They were left with 1, 2, 3 homes, and they had no one to rent it to. They all, they all defaulted on their mortgages. They all foreclosed, and the whole housing market came to a complete end. The same thing is happening now. We've had hedge funds and investment companies buying homes for cash, trying to rent them out, trying to push the prices of houses up. And now we're seeing that they're trying to unload these homes as quickly as possible to get out of the market because they realize what is coming, and this is what is happening right now. Now, every market is not going to feel it the same way. There is always a lag in different markets. So for those people who are writing in saying, I don't see it here, eventually you will. I have told in the past in some of my other reports that I lived in New York. I had my sister-in-law who was a realtor in Florida. New York felt it first. It was very difficult to sell a home. Florida was still booming, and then about 6 to 7 months later, boom, Florida just came to a screeching halt, and there was no one there to buy anything, and everything was just collapsed. And we're going to see this again all around the country. Now, there was another report that said record households on food stamps outnumber all households in the Northeast. A record 23 million American households were enrolled in the federal government's Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, which is abbreviated SNAP, which is really food stamps. And this number is larger than the number of people in the Northeast, the number of households in the Northeast United States. The number of households are 20 million, and the number of people enrolled are 23 million. And this goes even further to say the 23 million households on food stamps in June also outnumbered the 15 million home-owning households in the entire western United States in the second quarter of this year, and 18 million home-owning households in the entire Midwest. And just in June, food stamp usage increased by 45,000. And we can see that this is completely out of whack, because what's happening is those families that are underemployed, unemployed, cannot make enough money to get food, so they are using the government assistance to put their families, to feed their families, and to get food. And this is what is happening. This is not normal times where we have the normal poverty level, because you always have the rich, the middle class, the poverty. We're seeing a lot more people because, as we know, the unemployment numbers are completely manipulated, and the calculation was changed in 1994. They are reporting, what is it now, 7.3%. But if we use the calculation and we include all those people who stopped looking for work because there just isn't any, and those people who are working part-time, this unemployment is around 23, 24%, which fits in to what is happening in Europe. Because if we look at Spain, France, Italy, Greece, Cyprus, they are all in double digits. The same here in America if we don't use the manipulated calculations. So now that makes perfect sense why so many people are on the food stamp program. Because what other reason would all these people be on it? Not because you like it. I mean, think about it. If you were making $70,000, $80,000 a year, you don't just say, "Oh, I'm going to quit my job so I can go on food stamps." That's ridiculous. So we can see why people are having to, swallow their ego and go to this and get food stamps so they can feed their families. And let me tell you, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to do this type of thing, or go on unemployment, or go for help, especially someone who's been working for over 15, 20 years, and then all of a sudden you don't have a job and you only can get a part-time job, but it's not enough money to support your mortgage or your rent. And let's say you have 2 or 3 kids, and to feed them, I mean, when you're used to making this type of income, it's a tough thing to swallow, and it's very difficult for people, and a lot of people can't handle it. Okay, now they're reporting that the holiday shopping season, they're forecasting that this holiday the holiday season is going to be worse, and it's going to be really bad, and it's going to be the worst since it's been in 2009. And this goes on to say, an early forecast predicts the holiday shopping season will be the worst since 2009, mirroring the concerns of some retailers who are stepping up discounts and pushing earlier for what they fear will be hard-fought sales. And we understand that it's going to be really bad, because right now in August, when they have the back-to-school sales, okay, sales were really bad. They were falling. They couldn't move the merchandise. They had to go into deep, deep discounts. They sold merchandise, but their margins and their profits were way, way off. And the same thing is going to happen again this holiday season. These stores are going to have a very difficult time. I mean, right now, they are laying off and shutting down stores because sales are so bad. Once this holiday season passes and they find out that sales are horrible, we're going to see even more stores close down. And we saw it last year after the holiday season, and it wasn't really publicized all over the place. It came out in February because of the holiday season. Best Buy, Barnes & Noble, GameStop, Radio Shack, all started to close hundreds of stores each and lay off people because they just couldn't support it anymore. And we're going to see the same thing. And right now they're saying that the retail sales in November, December are expected to rise by 2.4%, and they wanted it to be around 3% or higher, just like in 2012, and maybe even reach 4%, which was 2011 and 2010. And I think it's going to be worse than 2.4 personally, because they thought there was going to be a huge, huge bump in August, going back to school, getting clothing, school supplies, and retail sales just rose 0.1% in August. And you know this Christmas season with more people, because you have to remember what they've reported already and what we think is going to happen, at least what I think is going to happen this fall. And other people have been reporting, like Meredith Whitney reported that Wall Street will be laying off about 100,000 people this fall, early winter. I mean, how is this going to affect the Christmas time period? I mean, the holiday season time period for all those people shopping for the holiday season. We're seeing companies now lay off in their mortgage divisions. All these people, thousands of people, will not have work, and there's going to be more and more layoffs as we go through this fall, early winter. So this season is not going to turn out well. Now, moving on to what has been happening at the Navy Yard, we understand that the shooter got into the Navy Yard. He was a contractor. He was set up. He has mental illness. He went in with a shotgun. First, they reported that he had an AR-15. Now they're saying he didn't have an AR-15. He rented one, but then returned it later. And he went in with a shotgun, shot the security guards, took their weapons, and used their weapons and the shotgun to kill all these people. And what we're seeing is that this entire incident was completely done behind security, behind walls. There were no witnesses, no people taking pictures this time, no information leaked because they didn't want to have what happened at the Boston bombing, so they're keeping this tightly controlled. But if you really look at it, it's all starting to make sense of what they're doing, because you have to remember, last time when they tried to get the gun bill passed, a lot of things came up. Things like, oh, if we just had armed people to protect the people, the shooter wouldn't have made it past there. If we were able to look at medical records, we can determine if someone should legally own a gun. And what we're seeing right now is all these different things that they were discussing before, all wrapped up into this event. This person had mental illness. If we just had a report or something where we had expanded checks, where we could check the medical records, this person would have never gotten a gun legally. Boom, they got that one. There were security guards in there with sidearms. See, people who have weapons didn't stop him. He was still able to get through the entire system and kill these people. Okay, we just countered that argument. And it seems like they're going through each one of these and countering what happened the last time where they couldn't get these gun bills passed. And now they are doing it because they completely package this in a way that very few arguments can be made about guns, except that the Second Amendment allows every individual, without limitation, to purchase a weapon. And now we're seeing senators out there, like Senator Durbin out there, saying that that gun control legislation defeated in the Senate earlier this year might have prevented Monday's mass shooting at the Washington Navy Yard. We need to return to issues that are of importance. There was an issue before the Senate several months ago, and it was voted down. We need to reintroduce this now to get it voted on again. Feinstein is out there, and she's, quote, "When will enough be enough?" Feinstein said in a statement Monday evening, Congress must stop shirking its responsibilities and resume a thoughtful debate on gun violence in this country. We must do more to stop this endless loss of life. And she went on to say that I mourn those killed today at the Navy Yard in Washington and send my thoughts and prayers to those families grieving the loss of loved ones. And the other indication here, and again, for those people who passed away, my condolences go out to those families that actually died in this tragic event. But on to my next point is they even brought it home to the safest city in Washington, D.C. This is what they're claiming, that they're saying that this is a very safe, secure building, and a gunman still has the ability to get in, and no one could stop him because he had some type of gun. And they are using every single angle to really bring this home. And we have to understand that since President Obama has been president, there has been 16 mass shootings since that time, all leading up to the main event to try to get these gun bills passed. And most of the times, the shooters, the gunmen, always end up dead. And they always seem to have some type of mental illness. They always seem to be on some type of SSRI, and it seems like they're on some type of medication. And again, we have to look at this person that is the shooter. They gave him access to the Navy Yard. He was arrested 3 times. He had mental illness, but they still gave him secret clearance, which is, I believe, one level below top secret clearance. And this was all fine. In a normal position, in a normal job, someone who's arrested 3 times, mental illness, and they did a background check, just a simple background check, I think that person might have a problem getting employed, even though it's discriminatory. But this is a highly secured area, and just to say, oh, we're surprised that this person, I mean, it sounds ridiculous. And it looks like they're even bringing in the sequester, saying that because we had the sequester, the security for all these areas, we didn't have enough manpower and enough resources to do proper checks. So they're bringing everything into this to prove their case about what is happening, because we understand that the debt ceiling debate comes up in the middle of, the debt ceiling comes up in October, where, there's the country, if it's not raised, will default. And of course, they're waiting for the last minute to have this incredible debate to show you how they're arguing and no one's, working with each other. But, they had like 2 years to do this, but, they always wait for the last second to make a really good show. But they'll raise it again because they did it 14 times before. And if they don't, the country defaults, and no one's going to let that happen. So it seems like, and President Obama's always been out there making this case about the sequester, that, can't have fireworks, but we can send billions of dollars over to Egypt. We can send millions and billions over to the rebels in Syria. But here in America, we can't have fireworks. And because of the sequester, this is why this shooter was able to get all this security clearance, because we just didn't have enough funds, to do the proper check, which is absolutely ridiculous. And all of this is playing into the president's executive orders, because in his executive orders, he has address unnecessary legal barriers, particularly relating to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, that may prevent states from making information available to the background check system, improve incentives for states to share information with background check systems. I mean, this is his executive orders that he put out during Sandy Hook incident, and release a letter to healthcare providers clarifying that no federal law prohibits them from reporting threats of violence to law enforcement authorities, and commit to finalizing mental health parity regulations. And right now, Obama is out there again saying that that he is going to move forward with implementing more executive actions, and he is going to strengthen gun laws, including expanding background checks even more, and also expanding the background checks to sales online at gun shows. And you could see this is all being built up and planned. And right now, Reid is out there saying that we're going to move this up as quickly as we can, but we've got to have the votes first. Reid told reporters, we don't have the votes. I hope we can get them, but we don't have them right now. But he's saying that we need to expand the background checks, uh, which are necessary to prevent people with mental illness from wielding guns. He would be happy to have help rounding up additional votes for background checks, and he is going to push this legislation forward to try to get the votes now to pass the UN Arms Treaty and the gun bill through. So we can see that they are pushing this event forward to get what was pending in the Senate for months now. They're going to try to get this passed. They're going to be getting all the gun control supporters out there rallying for gun control, and they're going to really push this forward. Now, there was another report saying there is a new biometric iris scan that can scan your eyes now at a distance. And it's saying that this multimodal biometric system designed for use in airports, border control, immigration, law enforcement can scan right up to your eye, get the information, and they can use this in those areas. And this is just another device used in a police state so they can track everyone and understand where everyone is. And this will match you up because it will be used with the facial recognition plus an eye scan, and this will match you up and track you so they know where you are. And they can expand this system outside of the airports onto streets. They'll be able to move it into buildings, and this way they'll have a complete tracking system all throughout the country. And yesterday I mentioned in UK that they are starting a system where there will be tracking everyone there, and everyone has to go to the centers to register for their online scanning, tracking system there. Okay, let's move on to Japan right now, and they are quietly building their limited counter A2AD capabilities. And what this is the Navy is right now a self-defense force, and they are quietly building the ability to counter China's strategy. And I've mentioned this before, they are building up and trying to change their constitution so they can strike if something happens. And the Navy has also been introducing P-1 Maritime Patrol aircraft. They have upgraded their SH-60K sub-hunting helicopter and next-generation 3,300-ton Soryu-class submarines. And in August, Japan unveiled the first two-planned 27,000-ton helicopter destroyer. It can carry 15 helicopters, and they are quietly building all their military assets up, and they're trying to make the case where they can change Article 9 so they are no longer a pacifist nation, and they can strike whenever they feel it is needed. And just like the U.S., where they saw where they claimed that Syria used chemical weapons and the U.S. said they were going to strike, that Japan wants to do the same thing. If China makes a move and they say it puts their national interest in jeopardy, they want to have the ability to strike with like cruise missiles and things like that into and attack China. So we can see what is happening here. Countries now are moving to prepare for what everyone knows is coming, and they understand what is coming. They see it. They see the writing on the wall. This incident with Syria is no way over. The fleet is still there. Russia has built up their fleet. There are 11 ships now in the Mediterranean. All Marines are on standby. There is still the CENTCOM base with 270 officers. Nothing has changed. Everything is just waiting for the next event to set this off. And even though we're having this event here on American soil about this gun legislation. And this was just something that was planned, and they are just carrying it out because they understand, and I've said this in my other reports, as the economic collapse gets closer, we will see more of these false flags, more of these events to get things passed. And I've been saying this over and over and over, that these bills have been pending. They're just waiting for the event to happen so they can bring them out of the Senate and say, hey, we have them, let's pass them. See, we just had an event. It was terrible, but we have something here that will solve it. The next one after this is CISPA. So that's a cyber attack type of situation, type of event. And that's just sitting in the Senate. It hasn't moved. So we have to understand that we are getting very close to a collapse of the system. And this is why they're moving forward, trying to get all of this done right now. And we know that the U.S. is planning something because the president is going to meet with Netanyahu on, I think, around September 30th, because he's created a new red line that Iran cannot cross over. And they're trying to bring this argument over to Iran again, still keeping with Syria. They don't care which they get started because the grand prize is Iran. And Netanyahu has his new red line, which number one is complete halt of uranium enrichment for Iran. Number two, removal of enriched fissile material from Iran. Number three, closure of the Fordo enrichment plant. Number four, termination of plutonium production at Iraq. And we can see that they are meeting, they are planning something else. Something will go down, and we will see it happen. Right now, the United States and Russia have given Syria until September 21st to produce a complete list of its chemical agents and munition types, as well as locations and storage. And what Stratfor is saying, they did an analysis of this, and they're saying that no matter what they do, if they destroy the chemical weapons or they try to collect all of them, it is going to be comprehensively, that there will always be a personnel at risk, and there will always be the chance that chemical weapons will still be used despite the efforts underway. Any country that chooses to participate will be at risk of being undermined because the process will be expensive and will take years to realistically accomplish what they're trying to do. And we've already seen that the U.S. and Russia already have two different counts of what Syria has in chemical weapons. And there is some type of disagreement of the number of chemical weapons, and we're already seeing this to start. And we can see that something could definitely well happen very quickly, where some type of chemical weapon gets loose or some type of false flag event, because right now Congress and the people are not for this war. What they're seeing right now is U.S., Russia, and Syria trying to handle the situation and agree upon dismantling all the chemical weapons in Syria. The only way to bring this home and have the people of the U.S. and the Congress, with no doubt in their mind, go to war is to have some type of false flag event on U.S. soil. And I believe that is the next course of action. And we are most likely going to see this probably after the September 30th date, after the president meets with Netanyahu, and we might even see something as early as mid-October or late October, because they are going to work on pushing the gun legislation through. The second plan will be worked out, and we know that the Fed is going to start tapering. We understand what's going to happen if they do taper, and I believe they will start to taper, and the markets will start to slide a little bit, and we will see some type of an event like a nuclear bomb with a cyber attack on the financial system, and entire collapse will be blamed on another country, because you have to remember the propaganda and everything that they're saying out there is that the economy is about to break free of this recession that we were in, and it's all looking fantastic. And if the U.S. economy goes down, you know what happens in Europe. It just everything just is like a domino effect, and it just completely crashes all over the place. Now, Semantic Corp is out there saying that there is another hacker group that is out of China, and their name is Hidden Links, and they are very, very dangerous because they are very advanced, and they have attacked Google, they have attacked Adobe systems, and they can really do some damage, and they do have the ability to take out the power grid, the water system, and they do have much more advanced systems for hacking, and we can see what's happening here. We have the Syrian Electronic Army. We have the U.S. blaming China on hacking. Now there's a name given to the hacker group called Hidden Links. We also have the Syrian Electronic Army, and the one for Iran, I believe, is Al-Qasim. And we have all these different names for hacker groups, for cyber attacks. We've been seeing glitches in the NASDAQ. We've seen glitches in Amazon, Google, Vine, Netflix, and this is all being put into place for the next cyber attack to occur. And when it hits, it's going to hit big. And there is also a person that I mentioned yesterday, I forgot his name, that said that he warned that the NASDAQ is ripe for a cyber attack, but his warnings are being ignored. Now, come this October, there's going to be a 1 million trucker protest. And what they're saying is, from October 11th through the 13th, they are going to have a 3-day strike where there'll be no trucks moving any type of items to any stores, to anywhere. And what they're saying is that people should stock up on supplies, food, water, because there will be no deliveries whatsoever. And they're saying there'll be no banking, no shopping, no money transactions. And they're trying to get Obama out of office for crimes of treason and misdemeanors, and they are making their case by shutting down all trucker deliveries, and we will have to see what happens with this. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.